What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. And today, we're going to be talking about something that has been echoed throughout our entire community, whether it's the Dragon Ball Super Card Game official Facebook page, all other social media platforms, as well as our most beloved and popular content creators voicing their opinions on YouTube. But before we get started, if you like the content that we post here on No Counters, No Combos, and you feel like you'd like to support our channel, feel free to check out the LinkTree in the description box down below. It's going to take you to yourplaymat.com as well as Loot Crate, and you'll be able to save a little bit of money. If you're into custom creations, whether it's sleeves, playmats, or even foil playmats, feel free to use our coupon code at checkout for 10% off your order. And if you're into mystery box subscriptions as well, feel free to use our code for 15% off your subscription. So getting that out of the way, I'd like to address what's been going on with the talk about an emergency ban list, okay? I think the biggest culprits, or the elephants in the room, if we can talk frankly, are King Vegeta and Dark Broly, respectively. These decks have been kind of running amok, so to speak, in the competitive landscape of the game, and there's a lot of outcry for some of these cards or combinations to get snuffed out to make sure that the degenerate plays don't continue to happen and either force people out of the game or prevent new people from coming in to the game to avoid that type of gameplay. So there's a couple things I'd like to talk about. So just bear with me here. Dark Broly came out in set 12. So it's been a couple of sets now where it's kind of asserted its dominance as the best, or like tied for best deck in the format. And if we're looking at the archetype as a whole, it was flawed from the jump, right? And being able to play 30k battle cards for, let's be honest, no energy investment, but little to no investment at all, is extremely powerful, especially that you can get multiple cards out per turn. You're talking about in some builds, you can get 3 30Ks out every single turn if you're piloting and sequencing properly, and that's just a lot for your opponent to deal with. So, the uptick of floodgates being played and tech options to stop battle cards that are costed higher than current energy have been, jumbled around in other decks. Vegeta Units to Fury made a huge impact in that meta because it was one of the best ways for yellow to stop it or slow them down. But, at the end of the day, it's still a very dominant strategy. And Bandai's answer to trying to quote-unquote slow down Dark Broly was to implement an errata on the Awakened side that basically only allows you to use your zero-costed, zero-combo power black 30k battle cards as 5k combos once per turn. Now, if you've been playing Dragon Ball Super since Dark Broly has been introduced into the meta, you understand that that's not what makes the deck good. What makes the deck good is the ability to play 30k battle cards with little to no investment, and if you have the combo properly assorted in your hand, being able to go into a Black Star Dragon Ball for the red 30k Broly to then go into Heartfelt Plea. So it's essentially a combo deck, but it's a very consistent combo deck because its main strategy is efficient. Putting your 30k Dark Broly's on the board, it's super efficient. Just having the access to Heartfelt Plea is a small little bonus. So being able to just kind of do that, in my opinion, is what makes Dark Broly so powerful. Now, obviously, the errata does slow it down a little bit on defense because you don't get to reset your board as quickly to be able to play out the other Dark Broly cards again the following turn, since they are unique and you can only activate their skills once per turn. But that doesn't matter because there are cards that exist in the game that allow you to loop without essentially having to use your leader skill. So we're talking about Belmod, right? Belmod is one of the cards that everybody's up in arms about. And, with every right, they have, some valid points. I mean, Belmod KOing 3 of your battle cards as a free play 20k blocker that also has spot removal built into it is huge, and it's free. There's no energy investment at all. So you're talking about playing 3 30ks in Dark Broly, you know, swinging outright, going ahead and KOing those guys to play your Belmod. Now, if you haven't triggered their skills, you can go ahead and replay them just for more infinite swings. Now, it just seems like a lot. There has to be a lot that goes right, but there really doesn't, because the front side of the leader is putting your 30ks in the drop area regardless, while also gaining passive advantage. You can gain advantage in Dark Broly without having to interact with your opponent, which is very strong. It's been very strong in the past, and it's very strong now. A lot of people used to play U7 Frieza back in the Tournament of Power days because its ability to generate passive advantage and just windmill slamming your win con on the table, whether your opponent is at 8 life or not, didn't matter. So the ability of doing all that and still maintaining a very potent offensive strategy is what makes Dark Broly so, I don't want to say oppressive, but so, you know, powerful in the meta. Now, Bandai tried, and, you know, to be honest, they failed miserably with this errata. It doesn't slow the deck down enough. Maybe defensively you can make the argument that it's more of a glass cannon, but when you're putting out 30k battle cards, if your opponent's not taking that damage and they're utilizing resources out of their hand to combo out, you're going to be ahead card advantage wise anyway. So it's not really something that you have to worry about too much defensively. And Black does have a lot of good, you know, counter cards, especially if you're not using energy offensively and you're leaving your energy open for defense. There's a lot of good cards that you can use to slow down your opponent. Power Burst has been a Black negate staple for years now. It's one of the better negates for Black. Protector of the People is essentially a sensu bean for Black. So if they try to kill you, you're going to get 5k every time they attack your leader. They're going to ignore your battle cards because they're going to try to pressure your leader, knowing that you don't have that many defensive options, and you're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, you do have the playtime is over negate that was printed in Battle Evolution. It hasn't really seen a lot of play, but that allows you to get your 1-drops out of the drop area and replay them with either Savage Rush or go ahead and search with your Dark Dragon Ball through Toa. So there's a lot of different defensive tools that Black has at its disposal because Dark Broly specifically doesn't use energy offensively. Okay, they also have a floodgate in the form of SS2 Bardock that came out, I believe, in set 11. It's an Overwhelm 6 for 1 black energy. Basically what it states is your opponent can't attack with more than 1 battle card their next turn, so it's essentially like a Flying Nimbus for Black. And if you play that as your last follow-up to, you know, playing everything offensively, which if you think about it is free because you're playing your 30ks for free, you're KOing them, playing Belmod for free, so that's 4 swings right there. And if you go ahead and finish off with the Bardock for another 25k swing, your opponent doesn't really have that much to answer offensively next turn. You set yourself up for a good defensive turn. Not to mention, we haven't even spoken about SS3 Gogeta Thwarting the Dark Empire. That card is nuts. For 1 energy, Overwhelm, what is that, 25k double strike that has spot removal. If you play Draft Box 6 Demigra, that's basically just a Dark Overwhelm for 2. It's going to stick on the board, and every time you swing, your opponent has to warp a card. There's just so much that the deck can do, and it's basically, there's no way that it can't get its strategy off because its main strategy with the Dark Broly's is free, and it just gets to play all the good Black stuff cards because those are the only energy cards that they're going to use. Those are the only cards they're going to use energy to cast. Their Dark Broly main strategy is going to go under the radar. Nobody's going to, you know, have anything to do with it because it's basically free. And then they're just going to play cards like Demigra and Thwarting the Dark Empire and stuff like that. So honestly, in my opinion, I really think the only way to solve it at this point is just to get rid of the leader. Bandai has to do a better job of testing these cards that they design, not in the specific card pool that the set is released in or the cards are released in. You know, if you're designing and you're only testing within that certain set, that's not what causes degenerate gameplay. Our job as a community, our job as players of the game is to find all the cool and, you know, unique combos to make a strategy very, very potent. Bandai's job is to make sure that they design cards that could be used in a way without abusing older strategies because they have knowledge of their prior card pool. So it's just one of those things where I think at first Dark Broly seemed okay when it first came out, and then it just hit the ground running, and it was just, the best deck. There was no other options as opposed to competitive building for Dark Broly. It was just one of those decks that probably should have never came out with the power level that it has. And, unfortunately, it's never the player base's fault because we don't create the cards. The cards are given to us to play with. So you have to start at the top. Everybody's got to point the finger, and we gotta hold Bandai accountable for what they did. Obviously, I don't think it's like game breaking. Like, I don't think, we have to quit the game in order to make a stand. That's not what I'm saying, but I think Bandai needs to do a better job of realizing what they're designing. Now, as far as King Vegeta is concerned, King Vegeta is just value town deck. Like, being able to put stuff on your opponent's side of the board that's going to burn them and allow you to use your cards on their board to affect them negatively is crazy. And the fact that you could just spam out a whole bunch of red little battle cards, and you have Tao, that's a free play, and you have Belmod, another usual suspect, of course. It just, that turn 2, turn 3 kill is very potent in King Vegeta because there's not a lot that your opponent can do. Now, on top of that, for some reason, if King Vegeta doesn't successfully kill you, they have a lot of defensive options that they can play for free as well. Testing the opposition is free if you're at 5 or less life. King Vegeta's Imposing Presence is free if you're at 3 or less life. Yamcha Merciless Barrage is free if you have a unison with 2 markers on the board. So there's a lot of free red counters that you can use that's just going to get you to that next turn. Obviously, King Vegeta is trying to shut the door within the first 2 or 3 turns of the game, which unfortunately is tough for other decks to keep up with, especially if you're playing with a Spirit Boost mechanic, if you're playing with a deck that has to curve out and play a unison on 2. If you tap out on turn 2, you very easily could die. And obviously the nut turn, or the holy crap turn for King Vegeta is going first and killing you while you're only at 1 energy. So that is something that should never really happen. And again, it's one of those things where if you're looking at the design philosophy, King Vegeta, an archetype that was introduced in set 13, within set 13 is not broken the way it is. It's when you start incorporating all of the other cards, all of the older cards that have been available to us since the beginning of time, and you start finding combinations and different ways to put strategies forth, is what makes it broken. Obviously, Legic is a very old card that can be free played if you're going second and your opponent controls a body. Tao can be free played if you control 3 red cards. Belmod, KO 3 cards, play him for free. Again, you're not utilizing energy offensively, which allows you to recover defensively and just deny your opponent's resources because you're being so aggressive. At the end of the day, the Dragon Ball Super card game is a resource-based game, okay? You have to pay X amount of resources to do X things. And in recent years, we've gotten away from that, which is fine if it's handled properly. Free play battle cards probably shouldn't exist, but if they're going to exist, they should be archetype specific. You should be rewarded with a free battle card for leaning into an archetype and playing a strategy that's meant to be played within those specific sets of cards. Tao probably doesn't have to be banned, but if you errata Tao to only be playable in an Earthling leader, or to only be playable in an Earthling only leader, that probably makes the card a lot more fair. Belmod probably should be banned outright, because I don't see a world where they errata it to just include it for one color, because that card now makes that color much more powerful than it was in the beginning. So they should probably just get rid of that card. Or worst case scenario, they should put a limit on his power. Maybe when he comes out, he is a battle card that just can't attack. So he is just a 20k blocker that can never attack. Kind of similar to a defender in Magic the Gathering, if you guys play Magic the Gathering. Or he can only be played once per turn, like limit 1. You're going to KO 3 battle cards to get Belmod in. Okay, you can only do that once this turn. You cannot just continue to loop your battle cards. There's got to be a fine line. There's got to be a better balance in how these cards are played. Now, moving forward, if you want to make free play cards for specific archetypes, that's totally fine because you're going to be locked to a certain strategy. And I feel like Bandai has, you know, in the back of their mind, they want to push more archetype specificity. Obviously, you know, with set 13, with set 14 and Cross Spirit and the Spirit Boost mechanic, you're getting a lot more, you know, specific things that you have to do. Obviously, you're always going to have generic good stuff decks. That's just going to exist. That's just the belly of the beast. But there is a world where archetype specific decks can thrive. And if you keep printing battle cards that it can be played for free, or it can be played for free if you meet X requirement, that's not tied to a specific trait or leader or archetype, you're just going to keep, you know, repeating the same cycle. So we, as a player base, obviously, you know, we're given these cards, and you can never really fault anybody for playing the quote-unquote best deck in a format, because that's not our fault. The cards are made for us to play with, so we're going to play with them. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like in my locals and Gamer's Edge, nobody plays King Vegeta or Dark Broly because it's locals. Like, you know, we're just go to have fun, you know, play cards with the boys, have some fun, experiment with the new cards and stuff like that. Obviously, in a tournament setting, it's a lot more different, but it starts at the top. We have to hold Bandai accountable for the mistakes that they've made. Hopefully they can correct it. And again, I hearken back to, you know, what I said about the ban list that was released. Stop trying to put a Band-Aid on things that require surgery. They kind of showed their hand a little bit with the most recent ban list, where they were trying to slow down free play. You know, you got rid of Great Ape Whisperer. You know, you limited Bardock the Resolute to 1. Sure, that's kind of like a save face move. Just ban the card outright. It shouldn't exist unless it's tied to a specific archetype or leader or something like that. But moving forward, hopefully Bandai can learn from this mistake. Let's open this up for discussion. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and please hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything No Counters, No Combos. We really do appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.